Hey friends, Dave McAnee here from GKD Technologies. It just might be my favorite day of the week. It's Tech Tip Day. So today we got this plethora of tools here on the table. Some of the things you might find in my tool bag that you may or may not know what they do. So we're going to talk today about terminating some wiring. And I brought a couple little sections here for us to get going on. So we're going to start with some coax cable, standard coax cable for your television sets, satellite for your internet connection if you're a broadband subscriber. And basically there's a couple different types of coax. I brought two types here with us today. One of these types is RG6U, which is a non-quad shield or a single shield coax cable. And I also brought some quad shield cable. Basically the difference between the two is that the quad shield cable has more shielding. It's going to have better signal retention, and it's going to have less signal loss. So when you use a RG6U cable, which is the white cable here, you're going to use an RG6U fitting. In this case, RG6U fittings come yellow, and the RG6 quad shield fittings are going to come in blue. So basically, we've got two main tools that we're going to use here. We got to have a coax stripper, and we got to have a coax crimper. I like to use a compression crimper because you get a better seed on the wire and your connector is never going to fall off. So first thing I like to do is make a straight cut on the cable. So we're going to cut this cable nice and straight here. Second thing is we're going to insert this into our RG6 stripper, give it a nice twist here. This is going to do a lot of the work for you. When you pull this off, you're going to have a nice smooth splice on your RG6 here. You'll notice that the RG6 has a single shield on it. What you want to do is you actually want to peel that single shield back, and the reason why is because we'll look at that as the ground and we'll look at this as the conductor, and you don't want the cable grounded out by the conductor and the ground hitting each other. Next thing you want to do is you want to insert your connector over the top. When you insert your connector over the top, you want to press it down until basically you can see that the center conductor has an even, it's evenly connected at the top. And then basically all we have to do is really simply insert it into this bad boy, our crimper, and we're going to just crimp it shut. And that's simple as that. That's how you terminate an RG6. So as I said before, when you use a quad shield, which is this black cable here, just to keep things easy, when you use a quad shield cable, the process is very similar. We're going to still insert it into our crimpers. We're going to still give a little pinch and twist on that. When we're done twisting, when we pop this off here, we're going to have some exposure here, but the big difference is that there's multiple shields here. So we're going to pull back the first shield layer, leaving the foil exposed. In this instance, the blue connector is going to be our quad shield connector. The quad shield connector has a slightly larger barrel, which allows us to slip over the extra shield on the quad shield cabling. We're going to line her up even here, pop it in our crimpers, give her a crimp, and you've now terminated a quad shield coax fitting. So we got the Cat 5 here now, so I want to show you guys how to terminate a Cat 5 here. Cool thing is the same tool that I used to strip back my RG6, also mine's a multi-tool. So this little blue slot here gives us the ability to strip back any type of category cabling. So we're going to strip back that category cabling. You'll notice that I leave about 1.5 inches to 2 inches strip back. That's just for ease of use. You can strip it back less or you can strip it back more. Eventually I'm going to end up actually cutting that. They do have a pull string inside the wire. The reason they have a pull string is that if you're using maybe a strippers to strip it back as opposed to a tool that's meant for it, what might happen is you might actually damage one of the cables, and in order to prevent you from using a damaged cable, you can grab that string, you can pull back the sheath so that you can expose more wire that will be undamaged. So in this instance, we'll just strip this back a little further, and then when I'm done with that, the next step that I always do is I remove the string. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chop these down a little bit because we don't need 5 inches of cable exposed here. So we're going to go ahead and chop these down a little bit. Now, to put on an RJ45 connector. So TIA, it's the Telecommunications Industry Association. So there's two standards. Typically in a commercial world, we're going to see the standard TIA 568B, and in the residential world, we're going to see the standard TIA 568A. For the sake of the demo, we're going to use the commercial world as our demonstration here. So in the commercial world, that standard starts out with the orange pair of the Cat 5. So what I like to do is I like to move the orange pair to my left. Okay, we're going to twist open the orange pair to expose both the orange-white and the solid orange conductor. Okay, the second part of that is going to be the green-white. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to separate the greens next. The most common wire or set of wires inside a Cat 5 is the blue pair. No matter what standard you're running, they always end up in the middle. So that's when I bring the blue pair into play. Okay. What you'll notice is I untwist these and then I interlock them between my pointer and my thumb. And the reason that I do that is because it's easier to manage them. If you don't manage them, they kind of get all over the place. The other thing about the cable is it's stiff enough where if you grab a hold of it and you kind of run your finger along it like a ribbon, it should kind of stay in place where you want it. So we're going to go with the orange white, the orange. The next would be the green white. Then we're going to go with solid blue, then blue white, then green, and the last pair is going to be the browns. Okay, so we're going to put this in order. The thing you'll notice about the order is that the order always goes from a striped wire to a solid wire. So when you get the wire all set up, if anything comes out of order, you can always just look really quick to make sure that it's stripe solid, stripe solid, stripe solid. Okay, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this wire low. We only need about a ½ inch of the wire exposed, and then we are going to make a cut right across it. Okay, we expose a nice tight flat edge, and we can grab an RJ45 connector on there. The RJ45 connector goes left to right with the pin facing down. The cabling goes left to right, oranges on the left, browns on the right. We're going to slide this in to the connector all the way to the top. What you should be able to do is look at the connector and see that all the wires have touched the top. After they touch the top, we're going to grab this fancy little crimper here. This is meant for crimping phone wires and internet connectivity wires. We're going to slip this bad boy inside the crimper, compress it, and voila, we've now put on a Cat 5 fitting. With that being said, I also brought some Cat 6. We're going to do a little bit of a different technique on the Cat 6. Instead of putting an RJ45 on the Cat 6, what I'd like to do with the Cat 6 is I'd like to put what we call a punch down or a quick port RJ45 on. This is going to be more common when you're going after someone who has a cable coming out of a wall. Okay, you're going to put this inside of a plate, snap it in. It's going to be a female connector for you to be able to plug a male cable into. So we're going to strip it back the same way that we strip back the Cat 5. We're going to pull the string out because my tool doesn't jeopardize the cable. We're going to cut the string off so we no longer have that. Now, the really cool thing about these quick ports is if you buy the right ones, which you can get at your standard hardware store, they actually will show you what colors go where. Okay, so if you look at the connectors, we have the blue pairs and brown pairs on one side, and we have the orange pairs and green pairs on the other side. Based on the TIA standard, we are going with the commercial, which is 568B. The orange pairs and green pairs on the bottom and the blue pairs and brown pairs don't change. So basically the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and separate the cabling. Brown pairs on one side, green and orange pairs on the other side. We have to peel back all the cabling. Once we separate all the cabling, we are going to seed the cabling into the connector. Ideally, you want to get the base of the cable as close to the bottom of the quick port as you can, because if you have a lot of excess cable hanging out, twisting it may jeopardize the termination. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start with the browns and the blues, and I'm going to simply put them in here, and as I said, I'm going to try to put my cable as close to the base of the quick port as I can, and these move right, which you can actually see on the connector as we discussed. And I'm going to place all the cables in the desired location. Now, I've seen many people do this in many different ways. Ideally for me, I like to punch down, which is another fun tool we're going to use, the first 4 conductors first and then put the second 4 conductors in, because I find that if I put all 8 conductors in, the wires tend to want to pop out before I punch it down. So this is a punch down tool. I use one that reciprocates. Basically, the reason that I use it is because it also can cut the cable simultaneously. A lot of punch down tools that you're going to find, the impact can't be changed, so this one has a high and a low impact. This one reciprocates, but it also has a sharp edge on it, so we can cut the cabling with it. So basically, all we have to do is put this inside the connector and give it a punch. Now, you'll notice when we give it a punch that it made a nice clean cut on the wire for us. So we have to punch down all 4 of these wires. And then basically once we punch those down, I'm going to move on to the other side. So this is the side that's going to have the oranges and the greens. As I mentioned before, for the B standard, the oranges and greens, we're going to use the bottom pattern. So I'm going to place these nicely in the bottom pattern to the desired color. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Flip the punch down tool so that the cutter's facing the outside. Give us our 4 punches, which you could see all the scrap that got cut right off the cat. Pop the cap on, and you've now terminated a quick port. All right, folks, so we got both ends of these Cat 5 and Cat 6 terminated, and now I just want to show you a cool tool that you're going to see in most pros' bags. This right here is a Cat 5 tester and toner. Basically what it can do is it can show us what cable's what when we're looking through a bundle, or it can also test the cabling to make sure that we properly terminated them. So one of the mistakes that I typically see in the field, as funny as this sounds, is before you run the test on the jumper that you're going to use on the tester. So we're going to run the test real quick. We basically just plug these 2 things in and then press scan. And when we press scan, as long as this counts 1 through 8, that means we've pinned the cable out correctly. So the jumper that we're going to use has been pinned out correctly. Now we're going to run a quick test on the cat that we terminated. So we're going to go ahead and pop this in here. Pop this in here. And we're going to let that scan happen again. So you're going to notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we nailed that cable as well. Now that we know that we have 2 good cables, we can run a test on the cable that has the quick ports. Now we can assume with this quick port cable that this is 120 feet long, and one end of it's upstairs, one end of it's downstairs at your panel, and you're going to have it in the wall to be able to jack in a hardline Ethernet connection. But we just want to assume that and test this the way it is. So now that we know we have 2 good jumpers, we're going to pop a jumper in on this side, male to female. We're going to pop our other jumper in on this side, male to female, and then we're going to go ahead and plug our jumpers into the tester. And we're going to look for our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. Now, knowing that we have 2 jumpers that are functional, we also know that we have a quick port cable that's functional on both ends. Nice test passed, well done. So we can dismantle this. I'm going to turn this tester off. And last but not least, I want to give you one more quick deal here. So these quick parts are already installed on the cat plate. So assuming that we were going to be putting this cat into a plate, we call these quick port plates. So this is what you're going to see in the office or on the wall. Basically all you have to do is take this quick port, snap it into the plate, and then we would screw that plate into the wall. Also, I have this RG6 that I had crimped earlier. With this RG6, we're going to use an F connector quick port. So basically this bad boy is going to snap in underneath. We're going to screw our coax cable into the back of the quick port. You can either twist the quick port or you can twist your coax cable, whatever makes you feel good. And we're going to take that and we're going to snap it in the plate at the bottom. And then we would screw that bad boy into the wall and you'd have yourself a setup for cable TV and high-speed internet. All right, folks, that's it for this week's tech tip, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.